What's up, everybody? It's Jordan, and welcome to the Sports Dude Hine Show. Today is May 27th, 2021. In this video, I am live on YouTube, and today's episode, I have special guest Joe Morley. How you doing today, Joe?
I'm doing good. Thanks for bringing me on. I'm excited for what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's not a whole lot of sports topics to get into. This is part of the season where there's, not many topics unless you're a big NBA fan. And there's some NBA playoffs. But before we kind of get, into talking about, some sports topics, can you tell, some of the listeners, what you do and, the YouTube channel you have and everything?
Yeah. If you guys don't know who I am, I'm Joe Morley. I am the, co-founder of the Warzone Sports Network, which is right here on my shirt. If you guys see that, Warzone Sports Network is something that we just brought together. My co-host Mike on the mic and myself saw a lot of potential in the market, and we love talking and working together. So we've been bringing little by little new people on, new shows on, and just having a great time. It's just a great group of friends talking sports. So all of us have been together for a while, over a year, and we just decided to bring all our talents and bring them together, and it's been a lot of fun. So check us out, Warzone Sports Network on YouTube.
Yeah, I've seen some of your videos. I mean, that, kind of Royal Rumble mock draft, we were kind of talking before the show, was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you had some former NFL players, you had some current NFL players, you had Ian Rappaport, Jonathan Coachman was with, he was with ESPN and the WWE. That was really cool. I mean, you all have some really, really nice content. You also had some guys from NFL Network as well. So we're going to get into the first topic here. I'm not going to lie, I'm not a big NBA guy because NBA playoffs are going on. Is there any surprises to you so far throughout the playoffs, and some things that you're kind of shocked about or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm not that big of an NBA fan. I usually get all my info from my most of my guys, but yes, I'm a little shocked. Well, I guess I'm not shocked because the Clippers, right? They decided to do what they needed to do to avoid some of the top guys. They fell down because they basically wanted to play Dallas, and now they're down 2-0. That one kind of surprised me. And the New York Knicks, I thought they would be handling the Hawks a little bit better.
Yeah, the Clippers to me are definitely the biggest surprise so far. I mean, being down 2-0, having one of the better duos in the NBA. Really appreciate, Mike joining and subbing. Really appreciate, supporting the channel and everything. But, the Clippers, I mean, that is definitely the biggest surprise. They are easily the biggest letdown this past season in the NBA this year and, last season as well. And you mentioned the Knicks. I mean, they lost game 1 to the Hawks on a tremendous shot by Trae Young. And then, game 2, the Knicks ended up winning. And if you would have thought the Knicks winning one game in the playoffs, not a series, not an NBA championship, one single freaking game. I mean, it looked like New York was about to be rioted or something. Everybody was in the streets. It was, I mean, I'm all for, sports fandom, but that's kind of, I mean, really stupid. I mean, you've not won a playoff game since 2013. That was the year, they beat the Celtics. My favorite team is the Celtics. I like the Cavs a little bit too. I remember, that was the last playoff series that, Pearson Garnett was with the Celtics, and I was all upset about that. But, I mean, it's been 8 years since you won a playoff game. I understand, being really happy, but I'm a Bengal fan. I've never experienced a playoff in my life. I'm 20 years old, almost 21. We've not won a playoff game in 30 years. The Reds haven't won a playoff series in 25 years. I'm not used to my teams winning at all. And, if, the Bengals win a playoff game, I'm going to be going crazy, but I don't want to be going crazy just over one, game, not even winning.
But see,
series.
The Bengals winning is winning a playoff game. This is a series. This is a basketball series. You won one game out of a series. You got a couple more to go. So don't get too excited. But this is why the Knicks aren't allowed in the playoffs, every decade. Once every decade, they can come back. They can go into playoffs because of the stuff they've been chanting. That crowd has been interesting to say the least for this playoff series. So New York Knicks, I mean, I understand, like you said, I'm a Raider fan too, so I'm not used to cheering on a lot of teams or a lot of playoff atmosphere teams and seeing what's going on, but the New York Knicks have been waiting for this for a long time, and I don't know, maybe being locked up with COVID and all that has changed the atmosphere too because of the fans, and people are just ready to be outside, ready to win, and ready to have fun, and they're doing what they got to do. I saw that they're passing out papers, like little papers of tonight's chant is this. This is what we're going to chant at the New York Knicks game. That's crazy.
And, I mean, Knicks fans are really devout. They're one of the biggest, I would say, hardcore fans in the NBA. And another team, who's really, shown their presence known throughout the playoffs, like fan support wise, is definitely the Phoenix Suns. They've not been in the playoffs forever. They tried to get Chris Paul. And I mean, if anything, throughout the Suns this season, I really think that shows the greatness of Chris Paul, and it really shows, when it's all said and done, Chris Paul, I mean, he already is one of the greatest point guards of all time, but I really think once he retires, we really, realize what we, saw greatness in Chris Paul. Because, you look at the teams, I saw a stat the other day, each team, he's been traded with throughout the years, the record percentage-wise has increased significantly. And the Phoenix Suns, I don't believe they've made the playoffs in a decade or around that. And, they're, before they traded to get CP3, they're basically the laughingstock of the NBA. They have a great guy, great scorer, and Devin Booker. And that's a really nice duo. It sucks to see Chris Paul, get hurt in one of the playoff games. And, the series is now tied up 1-1 with the Lakers. I mentioned I'm a huge Cavs fan, and when he was with the Cavs, I absolutely loved him. He was my favorite player of all time, but now since LeBron's with the Lakers, it is just impossible to like him. I mean, he's all the attention's around him, and I know it was already like that, when he was with Cleveland too, but I mean, I want to see the Celtics win. I mean, honestly, I know they're going to get swept. Not trying to be biased, I just really do not want to see the Lakers win the finals. I would be content with anybody winning the finals except for the Lakers. But that kind of series to me kind of surprised me a little bit because despite the Lakers winning in Game 2, the Suns, I mean, they showed that I don't think this series is going to be easy out for the Lakers. The Suns have, for me, been definitely one of the more surprising and really good teams so far in the playoffs.
Yes. And I don't know if Mike is still in the comments, but Mike and I do a show called Friday Night Wars. It shows every Friday night, and we debate. And one of the topics was in December, before the season started, was who was our sleeper pick to go to the championship and win the championship. And I jumped on the Phoenix Suns quick. I kind of did it as a joke, but I kind of had that feeling that after last year when the Phoenix Suns went to the bubble, right, and they went 8-0 in that bubble and still missed the playoffs because the way it was set. I felt that they gained the momentum. Then they got Chris Paul, and they won Game 1, and they won it pretty easily, right? I mean, Laker fans could say they made a bunch of mistakes, but then they came back. They were down and came back in Game 2. They brought it close with like 4 minutes left. They ended up losing. But I feel that the Lakers have to play 100%, no mistake. I mean, and people are like, well, every team has to play that. No, there's some teams that are good enough that you can make a mistake and you can play 90% of how good you are. The Lakers had to go like play all out, and that's without Chris Paul most of the time. So I think the Lakers are in trouble. I think the Suns, and I think the Lakers might end up winning the series. I doubt it. I'm still going to take the Suns. The Suns are the number 2 seed for a reason. They're going to continue to play hard, and losing Chris Paul is going to hurt them. But it just shows that they're right there with the Lakers. So Laker fans are going to say like, oh, they're going to take care. We're going to take care of the Suns. But I know that deep down they're scared. They're scared right now.
And you mentioned the Phoenix Suns being the number 2 seed in the West, and I believe the Utah Jazz are the 1st seed in the West. I could be wrong, but they played the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are the youngest team currently in the playoffs. They defeated Utah in Game 1, and Ja Morant, who people were pretty much laughing at me when I said it, coming out of the draft class a couple years ago. I said John Morant was better than Zion. I know I might sound a little bit crazy, but I honestly believe he is. He reminds me kind of like athleticism wise of Russell Westbrook, and just shooting wise, kind of like a Curry in a way. But John Morant had a sensational game last night, having 47 points. That's the most points in Grizzlies history in the playoffs, and they still lost. To me, there's a chance. I mean, I know the Lakers winning; it's not going to be surprising at all. But there is a chance the number 1 and number 2 seed could end up losing in the West. The West is always the best conference when it comes to between the West and the East. And if number 1 and number 2 ends up losing in the West, I think it makes it really, really intriguing to see who comes out of the West.
Yeah, I mean, to see the top teams fall, and normally in basketball, it doesn't really happen that often that you see top seeds fall out of the playoffs. So both of them fall in the first round. Whoo, it's going to make some interesting. But nothing's been the same after COVID. A lot of things have changed, and the Lakers aren't your normal number 7 seed. Like, injuries have taken that team down a little bit. So even the Lakers should be in the top 3, if not top 4. So having that number 7 seed is kind of like, But yeah, Memphis playing over their head there, But if they could pull it off, I think the Jazz are a little bit overrated, but that's just my opinion. Like I said, I don't watch a lot of basketball. I just think they've been playing good, solid basketball, but I don't think they're a great team.
So you kind of have a finals prediction in mind, and in the finals prediction, who would you probably have up winning and how many games?
I would love to see the Phoenix Suns versus the New York Knicks. Let me tell you that. That would be the 2 teams I would love to see, but I'm going to say if I had to pick, it'd probably be Philly and you know what? I'm going to go Dallas. Philly and Dallas. And I'll say Dallas takes it in 6.
Is that what you're wanting to see, or is that what you think will actually happen?
That's if I had to pick right now, that would be the Dallas and Philly would be what I would predict. I want to see the Suns and the Knicks.
To me, going on what I think will happen, I think it'll probably be the Nets and the Lakers. The one thing bad though is about the Nets. They have the best big 3 in the NBA. It's not even close. But aside from those guys, they really don't have. I mean, they have Blake Griffin, but he's nowhere near what he used to be. They have Joe Harris, who's a nice 3-point shooter, but they don't really have a consistent bench. The Lakers do kind of have that. What I think we'll see, I think it'll be the Nets over the Lakers in 6. What I would like to see, I want to see the Celtics against the Lakers and sweep them. I know that's not going to happen, but very interested to see, how the rest of the playoffs, come to be about, who ends up winning, round 1 series and everything. And you're kind of staying on the playoffs situation here for a second. The game, I believe it was yesterday, Russell Westbrook, left the game for the Wizards due to an injury. They were playing against the Philadelphia 76ers. While he was going to the tunnel to go back to the locker room, a fan actually, poured popcorn all over him. And that fan, I believe, was announced that he is suspended for all of the 76ers games. It was not announced yet if he is suspended for every single arena in the NBA. But what are your kind of thoughts on all that situation?
Anytime a fan does anything to a player is ridiculous. I caught it this morning because like you said, I don't really watch basketball. Like, I just catch the highlights or catch a big game every once in a while. And I saw this and I was like, what is going on? What people, you can't, just because you buy a ticket doesn't mean that you could go and treat players any way that you want. And you can't dumping popcorn is the same as spitting or punching or doing whatever to a player. And if Russell Westbrook, he did the right thing. Like, they had to hold him back. I don't know if he played it up just a little bit so he wouldn't, like, to make it look like he was mad. But come on, like, I would have been mad too. Like, if you did that to me, I'd be mad. I'd be so mad. And people need to respect these players a little bit more. These guys are out there doing what they can to win or and give 100%, and you treat them like this. They shouldn't have to deal with that in the arena, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I also believe, Trae Young, during the Knicks game was spit on. I could be wrong, but I was kind of watching the Pat McAfee show earlier today. They were talking about that a little bit, and fans throwing stuff at athletes. That's something you don't really hear about often in the NBA or the NFL or even Major League Baseball. We were kind of talking about before the show. We're both wrestling fans. That's something that happens a lot more often than people think. It's never talked about because wrestling is not a mainstream sport like basketball. Years ago, I was at a house show in Huntington, West Virginia, and that was when Sheamus, he was one of the bigger heels at the time, and that was the last match. I don't remember who he was fighting, but somebody threw a water bottle at him during the match, and they security hurry up and ran and escorted that guy out. There's been times even on live TV. Remember years ago, a fan was in the ring. I believe it was Cena or something like that. Seth Rollins on Monday Night Raw, and then just a year or so ago on AEW Dynamite. It was live on the air, but it was during a commercial break. Somebody threw a hot dog in the ring while they were fighting and everything. And I really think this fans being ridiculous and just being stupid and being rude and really disrespectful towards athletes happen a lot more than people think, but it's not talked about because that's wrestling's not that huge of a sport.
Yeah.
I hate this is just stupid, and it kind of goes back to really show how ignorant and stupid Philadelphia fans are. I mean, they have the worst fan base. I would say up there in the NFL, definitely top 3 worst fan bases. They're ridiculous. I mean, they freaking threw snowballs at Santa Claus years ago, and now you're dumping popcorn on Westbrook. I mean, I hate when fans act ridiculous. But, I kind of was thinking, I read something. I know it kind of sounds crazy, but would you have been for or against Westbrook, like, beating up that fan?
I'm never gonna say that I'm for it. Like I don't expect Westbrook to go and beat him up. I understand if Westbrook would have like retaliated against him, but I'm not gonna say that I'm for Westbrook going and taking him down and beating him up, but making sure that he got caught, making sure that he gets what he has coming, and yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. But I mean, I don't want the players to go and knock a guy out either. Like we have to play that. There's a thin line there. But yes, defend yourself at all times. And I tell anybody that if anybody does anything to defend yourself at all times, but there's a line that you have to stop at too. So Westbrook grabbing him after the popcorn or whatever, if he would have done that, if he would have don't go Ron Artest on him, don't go crazy on him. But yeah, make sure he's caught. But yeah, I and go back to wrestling. Wrestling, yeah, like you said, it happens a lot more at wrestling events than people think. I can go back to my childhood when I was at a house show, just like you said, and I saw The Rock get thrown into the gate, right, the ramp where they walk down, and he hit somebody, and that dude threw a punch at The Rock. Well, The Rock laid him out, where they had to bring a stretcher and everything, and yeah, so. If you do something to one of these athletes and they do it and they come back at you, expect them to come back at you. Expect these athletes, because they're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster. They're gonna hurt you. So don't do stupid things. If you're in the fan, just because you have a ticket, like I said, don't do stupid things. Don't do stupid things to these athletes, because when they get their hands on you, they rightfully so, they have a right to defend themselves. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not really for Westbrook, beating up that fan, but I have no issues with him getting, ticked off, and if he went in that guy's face and yelled at them, I had no issues with that and everything. But Christopher Owen says, Nick fan was permanently banned from the Garden. Yeah, I saw that, and there's a chance he might ended up being suspended through every single NBA arena. Plugged in with Jay just described things I really, really appreciate it. This is something, kind of happened years ago. I believe in 2013, Marcus Smart was on with the Oklahoma State, in college. He didn't, I don't believe he punched a fan, but that was, to me, that's kind of the closest situation we've kind of had from Ron Artest in quite some time, because you actually kind of thought, Marcus Smart had a chance, to really lay that guy out. And, He didn't throw nothing at him or anything. I honestly remember what all that was about. But that was kind of the closest situation we've had since then, and it's going to be really interesting to see how the NBA kind of suspends that guy in the future. Like I said, he's already suspended from the Garden. More than likely, Shams was talking about on the Pat McAfee show. He's probably going to be suspended from every single NBA arena. Just simple, one stupid mistake, kind of prevents you from ever going to an NBA basketball game again. People need to grow up and stop being so stupid. Yep. Just because you're locked up in your house for so long with the coronavirus does not give you an excuse to act like a immature, just stupidity, everything. But kind of moving on to the next topic here. I kind of talked about it last week on my episode. Some trade targets to Julio. There was probably going to be traded, and then since then, Julio being traded has went up like wildfire. He was on Pardon My Take, with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp, and he said he's out of Atlanta, and he does not want to go to the Cowboys. He wants to go to a winner. And if you're a Cowboys fan watching, that kind of has to suck, considering how much talent you have. Julio Jones to still not think you are a winner. But what are your kind of thoughts on the whole Julio Jones situation?
I think it caught. I don't know. There's been rumors out there that said that the Falcons have known for months that Julio Jones wants to be traded. Now it's coming out after the Shannon Sharp thing. I don't know. I think that was kind of set up and staged myself. I could be wrong, but I think it was staged, that whole situation. But I now the Falcons are coming out saying, "Oh, it's lowering his value." No, there's no Julio Jones has been has been at the top. And he's starting to go down, and I hate to say it because I love Julio Jones. I love watching him play. He's not the top guy he was 3 or 4 years ago. He's still talented. He's still a great wide receiver, but I'm not going to put him number 1, number 2, maybe not even number 3. Excuse me. Last year he had a down year. He had some injuries. He only played 9 games. But what we got to think about, what's his value? And I saw somebody did it. I don't know who it was. I saw a graphic of like, what's the percentage that Julio Jones helps each team? If he was put on this team or this team, how big of a winning percentage it goes up? And the Atlanta Falcons, it said like with Julio Jones, they were at like they're 60% or whatever it was that he helps them like that. And then taking him away, it only dropped like 2%. So them winning percentage or him helping them win was only like a 2%. Like that's how bad that team is. So they need to trade him off. And I think the teams that like the highest percentage were like the Patriots. It went up like 10%. It helped them some. And I'm trying to think of the other team, but I know the Patriots are one of them. I think the Titans were the other one. But me personally, I would love to see him go to Las Vegas. I don't know if he would put Las Vegas on his map, but putting Julio Jones on the outside, and that's actually getting John Gruden a wide receiver that he could use the way that he wants, because they got Henry Ruggs and they're trying to use him as a deep threat guy. Where if you watch Henry Ruggs in college, Henry Ruggs is like a short little less than 20-yard guy, but he takes it to the house. He doesn't go deep on you, and that's what they were trying to use. So you use a guy like Julio Jones. I know Mike is in the chat, and he would love Julio Jones to the Chargers. And I was actually watching there's another show that we watch. It's called Compas on the Beat. They're both Charger beat writers, and they would love it because they both think that Mike Williams is on his way out over there. So, yeah, Jay the Plug just commented, get Waller help in Las Vegas. Yes. Julio Jones in Las Vegas would be an outstanding move.
You being a Raiders fan, and it kind of appears, the price of Julio, at first it was a first-round pick. Now it appears it could be a second-round pick. With the Raiders' first-round pick being Alex Leatherwood at 17 overall, if you have a chance to get Alex Leatherwood, if you knew you were going to get Leatherwood at 17, or a chance to trade to get one of the best receivers of the past decade, you can make a case the best receiver of the past decade, Julio Jones. You 100% do it. But what is your price tag? Like, what's the most you're willing to give up to get Julio Jones on the Raiders?
For me as a Raider fan, I don't like giving up first round picks. That's just me personally. But if you can get them for a second round, you can get them for a third and a sixth. You can get them for a second and a fifth. I don't care. You do it at this point. nothing else is working for you. You know what I mean? So nothing's working for you. So give it up. If you really want to go in, let's do it. Let's make that pick. If it costs us a first round pick, I hope it's only a first round pick. I don't want to give up a first round pick. I don't think Julio's worth the first round pick anymore in his career. Because of his age. What is he? 32 years old, 31, 32. So I would say a second round, and if you want to give up a second and a fifth, do it. Because like I said, this would mean so much to Derek Carr and that offense. And imagine a defense trying to stop Julio Jones, Henry Ruggs, Darren Waller, and then the running backs with Drake and Josh Jacobs. It's like, nah, ain't gonna happen today.
And then all of a sudden, the Raiders would end up being one of the bigger sleeper teams in the AFC. Last week, like I mentioned, I kind of talked about some trade targets for Julio. And honestly, my trade kind of still, I think it makes tons of sense. Lots of people are talking about, the Titans. AJ Brown kind of had a recruitment video on TikTok to have Julio come to Tennessee. There's also reports maybe the 49ers or the Ravens can be involved. I think the Ravens would be a horrible, horrible move for Julio. If I'm Julio, one of the last teams I'm going to is the Ravens. I understand you want to win, but you're not going to get the ball much at all. I think the perfect spot is the Patriots. The Atlanta Falcons' biggest need currently, you can debate 1 and 2, but in my opinion, the biggest need for the Falcons right now is corner. They're not really attack corner like they should have in the draft. Stephon Gilmore went out of the Patriots. I want to see Stephon Gilmore and a third-round pick for Julio Jones. I think it makes so much sense. And Stephon Gilmore only has 1 year on his contract left. That is kind of the downfall for the Falcons. But there's a chance, with him going to Atlanta, maybe restart his career in a way. Maybe you re-sign him. If not, you still get at least a third-round pick involved. Julio Jones, whether you have Cam Newton or Matt Jones as your starting quarterback, that is 100% a Super Bowl contender. All those quarterbacks just have to play average. All those talent they have on offense and defense. I want to see Gilmore in a third for Julio. I think it makes so much sense. People aren't really talking about it. And I really think there's a chance that could possibly end up happening.
Yeah. Gilmore's been on the chopping block already. He's been in rumors like a lot. So I could see him being traded. I tell people, like, a lot of people don't like pineapple on pizza, but I do. And I could see Julio Jones going to the Patriots, and that's kind of just like that. But it's the Niners would be an excellent, like you said, you brought up the Niners. I think that would be an excellent spot for him. But the Atlanta Falcons, yes, anything that Atlanta Falcons can pull back in a trade for Julio Jones that improves their defense or improves any part of that team. They don't need any more receivers. They have Ridley. They have they now have Pitts. They're good there. They don't need anything else on offense unless it's offensive line, maybe a running back. But people are liking Mike Davis and what he's doing. It is good, Jay. Pineapple on pizza is good. It's good. I'm just telling you. But I'm trying to push that, make it normalized, make pineapple on pizza normalized now. But I think, the Atlanta Falcons, they're not going anywhere this year. I don't see them, not in that division. The Panthers have gotten better. The Saints are going to take a step back, but not too far back, right? And the Buccaneers are of course, the Super Bowl champions. So they're the fourth, they're the worst team in that division. So they need to do something. And if you could take your aging player and get something good, and if you pull Gilmore for it, I'll applaud it right there. But if you could pull a second round pick and some more stuff for it, do it, and you do it now.
Yeah, the Falcons, to me, they are definitely the worst team in the NFC South. You mentioned the Panthers. They are much improved. I really don't think people are talking about the Panthers enough. They had a fantastic offseason. Definitely one of the more underrated teams. Heading into the 2021 season. We were told to stop talking about the Raiders. They suck. The same thing could be said about my Bengals as well. I gotta ask, pineapple on pizza. I've never had it. Is it like you said? It's good, and I don't even like pineapples. But like, is it willing to try and everything like that?
If you don't like pineapple, I wouldn't try it. No, but it's like a little different. It's a different flavor, so it's like that. Because because it kind of has like a sweet taste to it. So I don't know. If you don't like pineapple, I wouldn't try it.
I live in Huntington, West Virginia, and we there's nothing really fancy like food around here. We have like hillbilly hot dogs, it's been on some like TV networks before, and so it's a kind of a stupid question. But is pineapple on pizza? Is that kind of like a regional thing, like where you're from? I like because I've talked to tons of people around here. I've never met one person who's ate pineapple on pizza.
You know what? I'm not sure. Maybe it is. I'm not sure how far it is. I know it's kind of common over here to see. I know a lot of people still. There's a big debate over it that it doesn't belong on pizza. That does belong on pizza. Same thing. It's still in that, like, I don't know. Do you guys eat pizza with ranch over there?
I've had it before, but I was only just one time. Aside from that, like I've never really had it, and I really don't know anybody who's had it before aside from me. I was telling some people about it, and they were calling me stupid, and that tasted nasty and everything like that.
Yeah, see, pineapple on pizza with ranch. Bradley Winter right now. See, so I don't know. Jay the Plug just said his wife loves pineapple pizza, and it almost caused him a divorce. That's a good. Oh, like, see, so and I think he lives in the South, like around the Georgia area. So I don't know. I don't know. I guess it would be depending on where you live, but it's more popular. But yeah, pineapple on pizza. Hey, Jay, your wife has good taste. Let's just say that.
Talking about all the sports topics, and you have to get the pineapple on pizza headline in here somewhere. Glad we fit that into the video. I mean, that's a top topic right there. But kind of moving on to the Aaron Rodgers situation. It seems like the situation is never going to end. He was recently interviewed on ESPN and kind of talked about he loves the coach, loves the players and everything like that. It had nothing to do, with the Packers, trading up to get Jordan Love. It's just kind of about the situation and everything. Aaron Rodgers is not at OTAs. What are your thoughts kind of on the whole Aaron Rodgers situation going on in Green Bay?
I don't know what to make of it because he's spitting out all this BS. It's BS basically what he's saying. You know what I mean? Like, it's about the players. No, it's not, because you've been in the NFC Championship 2 years in a row. You've been one game away from the Super Bowl. There, it's not about that. There's something. Either he's trying to hold back and not go off on Matt LaFleur's coaching ability, or there's something else in there that he wants to say, but he's not saying it. So he's giving us some, around the way answers, because his offensive line is not bad. His running backs top in the league. Besides Devontae Adams, then we have some question marks at wide receiver, but they're not horrible. They're not horrible wide receivers. Robert Tonyan, he turned into a top guy. That defense, yes, they make mistakes. They're a bend and sometimes break defense, but they're getting there, and I think they could have done better fixing that defense a little bit. But they have some ballers on that defense. It's not like Aaron Rodgers is complaining about being a top team. Like, would you rather go and be on a worse team and then have something? I don't understand his gripes. I don't understand it. But if he wants to leave, did they screw up by drafting Jordan Love? Yes, but it's not like one player would have made a difference. One player, okay, maybe. Who would you got instead of Jordan Love last year? I don't know. Wide receiver, would that made a difference? No, because King still missed that long pass against Tampa Bay. He still gave up that long pass. So I don't know. I think Aaron Rodgers is just griping to gripe and sit out a little bit and enjoy his vacation in Hawaii, and he'll be back. I think he'll be back with the Packers. If not, send him to Vegas too. Why not?
You mentioned, somebody who could have really impacted the Packers offense instead of taking Jordan Love. To me, the player that comes to mind the most is T. Higgins. He's been fantastic with the Bengals so far, and I think if they had a chance to get, T. Higgins over Jordan Love, that would have been a really smart move for Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers, like you mentioned, he's kind of complaining about going to the NFC Championship game for 2 straight years. If the Bengals are in the AFC Championship game for 2 straight years, I would be absolutely ecstatic. I'd be so happy. But really look at it. You talked about some of the great players that have, like Aaron Jones, one of the better running backs in the NFL. Devontae Adams, Robert Tonyan is a top 10 tight end all of a sudden. Look at Matthew Stafford. They've played against each other for the past decade in the NFC North. That would you rather have some talent and just be one game away, or would you rather suck on and be good on a sucky team for a decade? I mean, you can make a case. Matthew Stafford never won a playoff game, but if he gets a Super Bowl one, you can make a case he's a Hall of Famer. And he's just behind a horrible, horrible franchise with the Detroit Lions. And I really feel like Rodgers is just trying to stir up the pot at this point. I honestly don't see him getting traded, but I would be more shocked if he was traded than actually if he wasn't. It's just kind of like the Russell Wilson situation earlier in March. The speculation. What if Wilson gets traded? We're talking about like one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Like, you're going to have to put up a ton of draft capital. It was reported last week. Somebody from the Milwaukee Journal reported a couple of first-round picks, a starting caliber player, and I believe a day 2 pick. I don't believe that for a second. I think the asking price for Rodgers is at least 3 first-round picks, because I know he doesn't have a ton of years left. We're talking about a guy who just won an MVP last season. I mean, I know you look at the trade with the 49ers to get Trey Lance. Trey Lance could be great and everything. He's a project player. He might not start off right away for the San Francisco 49ers. But if that was 3 first-round picks, I'm taking those 3 first-round picks and getting Aaron Rodgers, who just won the MVP, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, definitely, rather than trading to get some, rookie quarterback who you're not sure and not sold on, especially because he's never played a game. I don't really see Rodgers getting traded, because I kind of think it's smoke, and because the asking price, the realization of him actually being traded, nobody is going to be willing to pay that much for Rodgers, who probably has less than 5 years left in his career.
Yeah, if the ask, like, I saw that there's a mock trade between the Packers and the Broncos, and it was like Bradley Chubb, something else, 3 first-round picks and a second-round pick. If that's the asking price for Aaron Rodgers, you can keep him. You can keep him and Jordan Love, and you can do whatever you want with him and have him complaining over there, because nobody's going to pay that price. That price is ridiculous for a 37-year-old quarterback. Understandable, yes, he is an MVP candidate. But 2 years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago, people thought Aaron Rodgers was done. Matt LaFleur came in, they brought his life back together. And then what if I trade all that? What if I make that big trade? And then Aaron Rodgers comes over and he goes, you know what? I am done. I don't want to. So the team that's trading for Aaron Rodgers is taking a big risk as well, because Aaron Rodgers can go do other stuff outside of football, and he is old, and he could break down at any time. I'm not trading 3 first-round picks for Aaron Rodgers, and any team that does that should be made fun of and be the laughingstock of the league from now on.
You mentioned the Broncos. I think the only team who has a chance to trade for Rodgers is the Broncos. I mean, you can trade Bradley Chubb. The Packers could use some help at edge. Chubb does not have many years on his contract at all. Maybe trade a nice wide receiver, because the Packers could use some more help at wide receiver. They have a ton of guys there. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Tim Patrick, all those guys. I really think the Broncos are one of the most underrated rosters in the NFL. And last year I really thought the Broncos were going to be good, but Drew Lock being injured and just being so inconsistent really held them back. But of all the teams in the NFL, I really think Rodgers going to Denver kind of makes the most sense. That's honestly the only team I could actually see Rodgers going to. You kind of mentioned the Raiders with Rodgers. What would your offer be to get Aaron Rodgers? Being a Raiders fan,
if I was a Raider fan, I hate to do it because I'm a big Derek Carr fan. I'm a big Derek Carr supporter, but I think Derek Carr is a great guy. And actually, Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers resemble each other a lot. But Derek Carr would have to be in that deal. He would have to go back to Green Bay. So right there, you're giving him a starting caliber quarterback, I would say top 12 in the league. So you're replacing the number 1 guy with a step back, but good enough replacement that he's going to be good. Derek Carr and Devontae Adams already have that that connection. They'll be good together. But then you'd have to look at picks. I would say yes, I would give up 1 first-round pick. So Derek Carr, first-round pick, and maybe a third or later, but nothing more than that. And if they wanted anything more than that, I'd have to really think about it and be like, probably not.
With the Packers, whoever they trade, they're probably going to trade Rodgers to get another starting quarterback. Would you be willing to trade Carr, a first-round pick, and first-round pick last year, Henry Ruggs, for Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I'll trade Henry Ruggs. I'd trade. I'd give him if you want Henry Ruggs, you can have him. I like Henry Ruggs, but if Henry Ruggs is what's holding you up from getting a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, do it.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see, what happens. Excuse me. What happens with Rodgers? Honestly though, I'd kind of be surprised if he does not play for the Packers. I really think he will end up starting for the Packers in week 1. Kind of switching gears to wrestling just for a minute. You say you're not really into AEW. AEW main event is this Sunday. Their pay-per-view, Double or Nothing, and there's a couple of big matches. There's Kenny Omega, Pac. That was Neville and WWE, and Orange Cassidy. It's basically kind of like the comedy wrestler. I really don't understand why Orange Cassidy is in this match. He's a comedy guy. He's a horrible wrestler. Pac against Kenny Omega, that has a match of the year kind of written all over it. They kind of had a fantastic match, I believe last year, a 30-minute Iron Man match. Fantastic match. They're two of the best wrestlers in AEW. They're some of the best wrestlers in the world. I would much rather see Omega against Pac than adding Orange Cassidy in the mix. Omega and Pac. I really think Omega will end up winning. There's zero chance they take the belt off Omega. He has the AAA championship, the Impact championship, and the AEW title as well. I think it's just a matter of time till they put Kenny Omega in New Japan and give him the title there. But I think Omega will end up winning that one. And then the other match here, there's some other matches on the card, but this one really stands out to me. The Pinnacle that includes MJF, FTR, Shawn Spears, and Wardlow that take on the Inner Circle with Santana Ortiz, Jake Hager, that was Jack Swagger in the WWE, Sammy Guevara, and my all-time favorite, Chris Jericho. And, in a Stadium Stampede match. And this match is really cool because, they had one last year. The Stadium Stampede is basically a match all around the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium. They go, they fight on the field and everything, fight, in the seats. It's really, really cool. Last year in the match, Sammy Guevara was given a one-winged angel by Kenny Omega. I believe it was around 30 feet in the air. Guevara, got hurt a little bit. Really excited for this match. And the key part about this match is that if the Inner Circle loses this match against the Pinnacle, they have to split up as a faction. I've watched wrestling since 2014, and to me, I don't know if you consider the New Day a faction or not. I'd say they're kind of in between that and a tag team, but I really don't want to see the Inner Circle get break up and everything because, like I said, Jericho is my all-time favorite, and then once you split them up, it kind of appears Jericho might go more maybe into a commentary situation rather opposed to wrestling, but I don't want to see the Inner Circle get split up, though. They're definitely my favorite faction right now in all of wrestling, although it does kind of make some sense for them to maybe split up. I think the Inner Circle will probably end up winning this match, and maybe they have one final pay-per-view, MJF against Chris Jericho at a pay-per-view. I don't know what it will be. I honestly think this is going to lead MJF to retire the legend, I would say the GOAT of all time. I know it's debatable. Chris Jericho. I think all of this is leading up to MJF. AEW is building MJF to be one of the biggest heels in all of wrestling, and he already is. I really think they're building this up for MJF to eventually retire Chris Jericho.
Yeah, and I haven't been watching a lot of AEW, a lot of WWE. I'm a big fan of it. I watched it growing up a lot. Kind of gone away from it the last couple years, just because of the way the WWE has been treating their superstars, and that's why AEW was created to begin with. And that Chris Jericho going over there, and you talk a lot about Chris Jericho and this match. They're more than likely, I mean, the way you describe it, they're more than likely going to break him up, and you might not like it, but that's what wrestling does, right? But Chris Jericho has done a lot for AEW and bringing that charisma and attitude over there. But he is an older guy. He needs to calm down just a little bit more. I'm not sure how much his body can take, but what an awesome if you want to put Chris Jericho as one of the top 3 wrestlers of all time, I have no debate with you. I'm right there with you. The stuff that he comes up with, like you made the list when he was in WWE, was awesome. And just watching him on the mic, and that's what a lot of new wrestlers are missing, the mic skills, the talk in the middle of the ring. But I think AEW will do themselves good to take Chris Jericho a step back a little bit and let some of these younger guys shine. And that was the issue in WWE, right? Is that they kept pushing the older guys or bringing in outside guys instead of the younger guys. So now Chris Jericho has done his time. He's got the fans over there. He got the people that were rooting for him over there, people like you that love Chris Jericho. You got to see him shine. And now he could take that step back in the business, and hopefully the business will go up with the younger guys now.
Tony Khan, the president of AEW, kind of mentioned, without Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, there really is no AEW. They had a match in New Japan at Wrestle Kingdom. That was kind of the biggest match, non-WWE, in years and years and years. And then that kind of set the ceiling in the fact, there is a, company out there, and, there's matches out there. You don't have to be in the WWE. And you mentioned, with the booking, it kind of seems like the past several years, a championship feud, let's say with McIntyre and Randy Orton, and all of a sudden when a championship feud ends, all of a sudden let's bring in Goldberg and have him fight somebody for no freaking reason at all. Goldberg sucks. He's stale as a wrestler. He's horrible on the mic. And just his character in general is just not good. Jericho, he's 50, and he's not really a good wrestler, but his mic skills is what makes him so great. Mm-hmm. And there's other guys up there in age, like Cena. I mean, if they were to bring in Cena right now, which honestly, I saw some reports that it's probably going to happen in a month or so. WWE is just so still right now. Some of their feuds make absolutely no sense. With Cena coming back soon, I don't think it would be smart to bring him right into the title picture, because it seems like that's what they tend to do. Somebody who's out for so long, they have the star power, put them in a title match. You're going to get some people who buy, the WWE Network, which is now, on Hulu and everything. Peacock. But, with kind of situation with, Brock Lesnar as well. All those guys, they just bring them in, and it kind of sucks for, guys who've been in the business for so long. Have kind of been, pushed away, not really talked about as much. In my opinion, one of the more underrated wrestlers in the WWE is Dolph Ziggler. And, he's not really been in the WWE title match in quite some time. Because guys like Lesnar, and, not Cena, right now, but years past, and Goldberg and all those guys, it just really sucks. The WWE, it seems like they have tons of talent. They have so many, great wrestlers. They have capable of being, star power. But instead of making new stars, they rely on, for instance, The Undertaker to come out one match a year to have a match at WrestleMania. That makes absolutely no sense. Yeah. Let's bring Triple H for no reason. Let's bring in Shawn Michaels against Triple H. Shawn Michaels and Triple H against The Undertaker and Kane at the biggest Royal Rumble. And some overseas country. Like, some of the stuff just does not make any sense.
The continuous push of Roman Reigns is ridiculous. Like, if your fans don't want it, stop. Stop. Roman Reigns has to build himself up and let it go. They continuously let him win matches that you're like, why? And you know what really got me away from WWE after a while is, one, when they let Brock Lesnar beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania for absolutely no reason, and in that streak. That was ridiculous to me. Two, when they kept bringing people in like Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey, and all that, and giving them titles right off the back, not making them work for it. Mike Reigns will never be good. Let me tell you. And one of my favorite wrestlers, he just got hurt, and he's been one of the most consistent guys throughout his whole career, is The Miz. The Miz is an amazing on the mic. He's an amazing in the ring, and they continue to treat him like he's second class. And Dolph Ziggler, like you said, is one of the top guys, and he's never given the respect that he deserves. And I'll go another guy, Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt, when he was the Wyatt family and all that, awesome. And if anybody was supposed to beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania, it should have been Bray Wyatt. That should have been the one, because Bray Wyatt could have lived and brought that, when he was coming out with everything. Now he's doing his the Fiend and all that stuff. But when he was actually Bray Wyatt, and he was doing his thing, he could have took that. The Undertaker could have left, and Bray Wyatt could have been that new guy, and they killed that. So stuff like that is what got me away from the WWE and watching wrestling more and more, because, like you said, these new younger guys that are supposed to take over, who get, hey, WrestleMania is your big one. Let's shine them off. But then you go, nope, we're gonna bring The Rock back for one more match, and it's like, I love The Rock, but I don't need to see him at this age wrestling again.
Yeah, and you brought up The Miz. Like I said, I started watching wrestling in 2014. And, started watching wrestling and stuff, kind of, knowing like the heels and the face and everything like that. Really up until I kind of stopped watching the WWE probably about full time 3 years ago. I hated The Miz. I just did not like his character. It was really aggravating. He was one of those heels. You're doing a good job when, fans don't like you. That's a lot of the time, what heels are trying to do. But you really look at it. The older I've got, I've really have more respect for The Miz, what he's been able to do. And, everything he's worked his butt off. He doesn't just do wrestling. He has the reality series as well. You'll see him on time to time, maybe on NFL Network occasionally, doing some sports stuff as well. Has worked his butt off and everything like that. Really sucks to see him go to an injury. And, you mentioned, with him not being in the title picture, they had him beat McIntyre and cash in the Money in the Bank. The following week or so, he lost the championship to Bobby Lashley. That's so stupid. And something so stupid is pairing The Miz with Morrison. It seems like they're just a comedy act. The Miz, I believe it was in 2017 when he was the Intercontinental Champion at that time. That's when that was the prestige Miz. That's the best Miz in quite some time. And ever since then, they've just kind of been slowly pushing him down the card. And it seems like they're pushing him into a comedy act, which is just ridiculous, because he's one of the honestly, I would say he's one of the biggest stars in WWE. I wouldn't consider John Cena an active wrestler right now, because he's not wrestling over a year. Aside from Randy Orton, I would say The Miz is probably the most popular mainstream wrestler right now in the WWE, and you can honestly make a case The Miz is right up there with Randy Orton when it comes to star power. Because, The Miz, years ago, when Lonzo Ball was drafted, they had Lonzo Ball, LaMelo, and LeVar Ball on Miz TV, and that was freaking genius by the WWE for getting that, and everything. That was in the Staples Center right after Lonzo was drafted. And, all the people, you notice The Miz is there, because he has that star power. And we were kind of talking about Jericho, who's great on the mic. Miz is amazing on the mic as well. And it really sucks to see him getting injured. And I really hope, he comes back, because, there was some talks, which, I've not seen the movie yet. The Mortal Kombat movie came out a couple of weeks ago. There's some talks, they're already going to make another one. Lots of people are wanting The Miz to play Johnny Cage in the second Mortal Kombat. I would really like to see that, but who knows with The Miz's injury and everything.
Yeah, and that's what sucks about that injury. That's the first one, but yeah, The Miz is my favorite one, and that's where I get a line. I use a line that he always had, and I had a T-shirt with it that said "Haters wanted because the old ones are starting to love me." So Miz is, And I watched The Miz back in the day before he was in WWE. He was on The Real World, and that's how old I am. So I'm kind of aging myself. But I watched him on. So he's used to reality TV. Bring back Santino. Santino Marella was a great character. Yes, I love Santino Marella.
Yeah, I kind of stopped right when I started watching wrestling. That's kind of when he, stopped wrestling and everything. So, kind of on this episode, despite not having many topics to talk about, we nearly talked about for an hour. We kind of talked, the NBA playoffs, the Russell Westbrook situation, with a Philadelphia 76ers fan throwing popcorn on him. The Julio Jones situation with the Atlanta Falcons, maybe the Raiders go for Julio, who knows? The Aaron Rodgers, the interview on ESPN. AEW Double or Nothing preview, and kind of talking about the sucky current state of the WWE and why currently it is just a complete failure. Had great time. You joined and everything. So, Joe, can you tell some of the listeners who can follow you on social media and your YouTube channel as well?
Yeah, I appreciate it. This has been a fun conversation. We, like you said, we hit a lot of stuff. So thank you for bringing me on. A great time. But yeah, you guys can find me on Instagram. You guys can hit me up myself at Joe Morley Sports, or follow the at Warzone Sports Network. We're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, we're on Twitter. Find us. Really great guys, really great content over there, always bringing new stuff. We have 5 weekly shows on the Warzone Sport Network, not including all the live shows that we do. So it's fun, but I appreciate it, man. This has been a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. Really excited you were able to join the show, and cannot forget we talked about the much heated debate if pineapple belongs in pizza, and somebody commenting said there was nearly divorce because of pineapple on pizza. It was actually able to get a couple of subscribers, from some of your listeners. I really appreciate it. I'll do this again sometime, and make sure you go follow Joe on the descriptions below for social media. I'll put the YouTube link below for the Warzone Sports Network. Make sure to check that out because that page is really, really cool. They have lots of cool guys, guys from NFL Network, current players, former players, some wrestlers as well. Make sure to follow me, the Sports 200 Show, on Twitter and Instagram. You can kind of see the little ticker thing below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. See you next time on Sports 200 Show.